Waste disposal. Waste disposal is an activity that is directly responsible for much environmental damage and locating waste disposal sites, determining what waste materials were disposed of through time and exactly where, and determining ownership and whether disposal methods were proper or improper are important issues in environmental mitigation. Hi, I am Bayan Abikaran and I will tell you what the methods of waste disposal as well as the advantages and disadvantages of each action.
1. Landfill.
A place to dispose of refuse and other waste material by burying it and covering it over with soil, especially as a method of filling in or extending usable land.
Let's start with the advantages of landfills. First, landfills are an excellent energy source. When trash accumulates and begins to break down, carbon dioxide and methane are produced. These gases can be taken out, filtered out, and used for energy production. In the United States, landfill serves as the third source of methane production. The landfills in the country also produce approximately 95.6 million of these carbon dioxide per annum. Number 2, keeps hazardous waste segregated. Landfills provides a place to dump recyclable and non-recyclable waste separately. Also, they provide a place to keep more hazardous materials that need to be segregated from the public. Third, modern landfills are eco-friendly. Older landfills were just open-air dumps on nearly everything, but it isn't the case anymore. Thanks to the efforts of environmental experts who brought in strict laws, regulations, and standards for landfill sites. Technology is well utilized in the landfill's design. Good soil lining and leachate management systems ensure no seepage and damage. Let us move on to the disadvantages of landfills. First, landfills are partially responsible for climate change. 1 ton of biodegradable waste can produce about 400 to 500 cubic meters of landfill gas. Landfill gas contains methane and carbon dioxide as the major constituents and traces of other gases. Methane is a greenhouse gas that is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide, thus increases the implication of global warming and climate change. Second, contaminate soil and water. Although it is not very common for protective membranes of landfills to rupture, it can be devastating when they do. Hazardous chemicals, gases, and toxins seep from landfills get mixed with soil and groundwater, causing soil and water pollution. Third one, landfills affect wildlife. Landfill sites can have negative effects on plants and animals. Certain birds and animals feed on landfill sites. By doing so, they ingest plastic, aluminum, drywall, and other materials. A study published in Science Advances shows white storks modify shorten their regular migration and chosen nests in areas close to landfill areas. This is not only detrimental, but can be fatal for birds in the long run.
2. Incineration.
Incineration is a waste treatment process that involves the combustion of substances contained in waste materials.
Incineration. First advantage of incineration is far more efficient use of space. After the incineration process is complete, the total mass of the remaining garbage can be reduced by up to 85%, while its volume may shrink by as much as 95%. In small countries or in municipalities where landfills are full and additional space is scarce, this type of mass and volume reduction can be done. Second, elimination of groundwater contamination. Leachate is thick pea soup-like slurry of liquid garbage, which is formed every time precipitation falls on landfill. It is this contaminated mixture that can penetrate underground aquifers and pollute them with unsafe quantities of salts, heavy metals, volatile organic compounds, plus other toxic or corrosive chemicals or substances found in household trash. The third one, energy generation. As of 2016, there were approximately 2,200 waste-to-energy power plants in operation around the planet. These facilities burn garbage at a high temperature to boil water and power steam generators, which then produces electricity that can be distributed on the power grid. Let us proceed to the disadvantages. First, high expense. Incineration facilities accrue significant costs for site studies, permits, construction materials, labor, and local infrastructure's modification. In the long run, they may save cities, countries, or societies money by reducing the need for landfills and by helping reduce the environmental impacts of garbage disposal. Second disadvantage is continued emission of toxic or otherwise hazardous pollutants. Modern incineration plants have cut their emissions of heavy metals and toxic poisons like dioxin to a minimum in comparison to older incineration facilities that were lax in this area.
3. Waste compaction.
Waste compaction is the process of compacting waste, reducing it in size.
Waste compaction. The first advantage of waste compaction is improved efficiency. Compactors are quick and easy to use. With a simple push of a button, you can have efficiently compacted packages of waste. You don't need to check if they're full like you do with bins, and they require incredibly minimal skill to use. The second one is increased space. Waste compactors save space by making waste smaller and easier to store, turning bulky rubbish or recyclable into smaller sizes. Uncompacted waste is an absolute space killer, where uncompacted waste takes up a fraction of the space. This means storage or working space can be increased. The third advantage is minimizing environmental pollution. As we've mentioned, waste compaction means a smaller physical volume of the waste in its entirety, which means fewer trips needed to collect. A key benefit of this is a smaller carbon footprint associated with your waste management, as it's fewer miles needed to drive between your site and either a landfill or recycling center. It is impressive how a simple change in physical space can have so many benefits. Let us proceed to the disadvantages. First disadvantage is large amounts of garbage. Garbage compactors reduce the need for frequent trash pickup. This saves money for the city or community and saves time for the garbage trucks. The large collection of trucks, however, will eventually begin to smell. This offensive odor could reduce the desire of potential residents to move into property and encourage current residents to want to leave. The second disadvantage is personal garbage compactors. Compactors for home use are often smaller than a dishwasher and function like a large garbage compactors, pressing trash into a tight cube that takes up less space than full trash bags. Problems with personal compactors are often mechanical issues in which the compactor was overfilled items that could not be crushed were used inside the compactors, or wear and tear breaks the machine down. As with large community compactors, private home compactors allows large amounts of garbage to build up. Unknown or inappropriate items thrown in the trash and pressed into a compacted garbage cube can present hazards. The disadvantage is disposal of the waste. Once trash is compacted and collected by garbage trucks, it may go to a town dump or to an incinerator depending on local waste disposal regulations. Incinerated trash, if burned properly, passes the fumes from the burned garbage through a cleanser rather than directly into the atmosphere. The use of the town dump, however, may result into the excessive buildup of garbage.
4. Biogas generation.
Biogas is a renewable fuel produced by the breakdown of organic matter, such as food scraps and animal waste.
Biogas generation. Advantages. The first advantage of biogas generation is biogas is eco-friendly. Biogas is renewable as well as a clean source of energy. Gas generated through biodigestion is non-polluting. It actually reduces greenhouse emissions. No combustion takes place in the process, meaning there is no emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Therefore, using gas from waste as form of energy is a great way to combat global warming. Second, biogas generation produces organic fertilizer. The byproduct of the biogas generation process is enriched organic digestate, which is a perfect supplement to or substitute for chemical fertilizer. The fertilizer discharged from the digester can accelerate plant growth and resilience to diseases, whereas commercial fertilizers contain chemicals that have toxic effects and can cause food poisoning, among other things. Third one is, it is a simple and low-cost technology that encourages a circular economy. The technology used to produce a biogas is quite cheap. It is easy to set up and needs little investment when used on small scale. Small biodigesters can be used right at home, utilizing kitchen waste and animal manure. A household system pays for itself after a while, and materials used in generation are absolutely free. The gas produced can be used directly for cooking and generation of electricity. This is what allows the cost of biogas production to be relatively low. Let us proceed to the disadvantages. The first disadvantage is few technological advancements. An unfortunate disadvantage of biogas today is that the systems used in the production of biogas are not efficient. There are no technologies yet to simplify the process and make it accessible at low cost. This means large-scale production to supply for large-scale population is still not possible. Although the biogas plants operating today are able to meet some energy needs, many governments are not willing to invest in the sector. The second disadvantage is contains impurities. After refinement and compression, biogas still contains impurities. If the generated biofuel was used to power automobiles, it could corrode the metal parts of the engine. This corrosion would lead to increased maintenance costs. The gaseous mix is much more suitable for kitchen stoves, water boilers, and lamps. The third disadvantage is effect of temperature on biogas production. Like other renewable energy sources, biogas generation is also affected by the weather. The optimal temperature bacteria needed to digest waste is around 37 degrees Celsius. In cold climates, digesters require heat energy to maintain a constant biogas supply.
5. Composting.
Composting is a natural process of recycling organic matter, such as leaves and food scraps, into a valuable fertilizer that can enrich soil and plants.
Composting. Advantage. The first advantage of composting is can produce a natural fertilizer. Composting can produce a type of fertilizer or nutrient-rich humus mix which can be used for growing plants and food, and generally to enrich or even restore some types of damaged soil. The second advantage of composting is can help with soil health. Compost that improves soil health through improved soil water retention, for example, can also indirectly save water and other natural resources. It encourages resource sustainability. The third advantage is pollution prevention. Avoids methane production and leachate formation in landfills by diverting organic for composting. Absorbs odor and degrades volatile organic compounds. Prevents pollutants in stormwater, one of the reaching water resources, and protects groundwater quality. Proceed to the disadvantages of composting. The first one is it can be stinky and hazardous. In some of the methods we have mentioned above, they produce an awful smell. For example, in anaerobic composting, one of the byproducts of the process is methane gas. This gas has a very unpleasant odor and can make the environment around it inhabitable. The second disadvantage is consumes both time and energy. The process of composting from collecting the waste into a pile to regularly attending to the pile might be time-consuming. You will have to be checking on the composting now and then to ensure that decomposition takes place properly. The third disadvantage is harmful to the environment. If these waste materials end up in landfills, they produce a lot of gases that have adverse effects on the environment. In the case of anaerobic composting, The methane released into the atmosphere has the effect of the trapping heat, which might lead to global warming. Now that you already know the methods of waste disposal as well as its advantages and disadvantages, let us proceed to the second part of this video, which is solid waste management. Solid waste management. What is solid waste management? Solid waste management is a term that is used to refer to the process of collecting and treating solid waste. It also offers solutions for recycling items that do not belong to garbage or trash. As long as people have been living in settlements and residential areas, garbage or solid waste has been an issue. Waste management is all about how solid waste can be changed and used as a valuable source. Negative effects of improper waste management. Negative effects of improper waste management do not only end in disgusting you, but also affects the overall economy of a country. State has to spend a lot of money to counter the effects of improper waste management. Moreover, animals dependent on the environment also face a great threat due to the oil spills of chemicals which directly cause soil and water contamination. Burning of any disposed waste and plastic materials results in air and environmental pollution. Here are some of the catastrophic effects of today's poor waste management systems. The first one is soil contamination. Ideally, we would like our plastic, glass, metal, and paper waste to end up in the recycling facility. It then returns to us as a renewable product, but the reality is entirely different. Number 2, extreme weather caused by climate change. Harmful greenhouse gases are created from decomposing waste. These rise up at the atmosphere and drop heat. This adversely causes extreme weather reactions in form of storms and typhoons. The third one is harm towards animal and marine life. Despite strict measures to stop it, we keep seeing the continual dumping of garbage, raw or untreated sewage. Any animal or marine life coming in contact gets impacted in the worst of ways. The inevitable formation of algal bloom and clusters contaminate and eventually suffocate marine life such as coral and fish. Let's proceed to the sources of solid wastes as well as its examples. First one is solid domestic garbage. Solid domestic waste is garbage and waste materials discarded from households. It can include wood materials such as plastics, cardboard, rubber, metal, paper, wood, fabric, chemicals, and etc. Domestic waste can be organic or inorganic. Most of the food waste generated in domestic premises is organic. Batteries, electronics, and metals are inorganic waste. Discarded mattresses, furniture from a major component of household waste. Without proper recycling, mattresses can severely clog landfills. Chemical from household cleaners add to pollution in water sources. Trash is created principally in the convenience spaces on board the boat, bottles, papers, cardboards, and so on. Trash under the glass is disallowed to be released again. Waste material from various industries. The industrial waste can be in form of solids, liquids, and gases. However, when we talk about industrial waste, it is mostly referred to as solid waste. The sources of industrial waste are the power generation plants, metal processing industries, cement plants, iron and steel manufacturing industries, manufacturing units for leather goods, food packaging, chemicals, transport equipment, resins, plastic, and papers. Even water treatment plants generate industrial waste. Industrial solid waste contains metals, chemicals, plastics, demolition, materials, medical trash, ashes, packaging, and other hazardous materials. Sludge from industries contains toxins which are harmful to the environment. Sorts of modern waste incorporate soil and rock quality and cement, salvage material, oil solvents, synthetics, scrap lumber, even vegetable matter from eateries. Solid agricultural waste. Agricultural waste refers to waste generated due to agriculture-based activities or operations. Chemicals from fertilizer plants, harvest waste from agricultural also includes waste from slaughterhouses, poultry farms, feedlots, vineyards, dairies, and agricultural farms. Plastics, glass, metals, e-waste, etc. This term applies to consumer and business electronic equipment that is near or at the end of their useful life. There is no clear definition for electronic waste at this time, but if we can plug it into the electronical outlet or it contains circuit boards or chips, it is most likely e-waste. Example of electronic waste include but not limited to TVs, computer, monitors, printers, scanners, keyboards, mice, cables, circuit boards, lamps, clocks, flashlights, calculators, phones, answering machines, digital video cameras, radios, VCRs, DVDs, MP3, and CD players. Medical waste. Medical waste is broadly classified as any item that comes into contact with body fluids. Specifically, any of its solid waste is generated in the diagnosis, treatment, or immunization of humans. This type of waste was once collected in a special box and plastic boxes in clinical settings and then disposed of like normal trash. However, this process was quickly found to spread diseases and viruses and potentially cause outbreaks. Medical waste may include paper towels or wipe contaminates, gloves used for procedures, syringes without needles, syringes with needles or sharp objects, bandages or dressing with small amounts of dry blood or fluid, any other material from medical care. Construction waste includes waste that is generated during construction activities such as packaging or the products of demolition and materials that are surplus to requirements. Typical construction waste products can include insulation of asbestos materials, concrete, bricks, tiles, ceramics, wood, glass, and plastic, bituminous mixtures, coal, tar, metallic waste, contaminated soil, stones and dredging spoil, gypsum, and cement. Waste management reduces the effect of waste on the environment, health, and so on. It can also help reuse or recycle resources such as papers, cans, glasses, and so on. We must learn how to dispose our waste properly and be a good member in our country.